Hi all and welcome to another week of the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. Tonight is March the 9th. Hi all, a brief interlude before the next song. After this shock of what happened with Rodney recently, and the sad loss for us all, it was quite a shock on top of it to hear that Jim, known as Jim Michelle Delahunt on the page, became rather unwell. But the spiritual medical people got involved, and thankfully he's recovering. And given he has a certain taste for quite a what I describe as a vermin riddled creatures, I thought I would play this song for him and Michelle. Hi all and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. I hope Jim and Michelle like that song. I thought it was rather funny anyway. I could sing a lot more lines to that particular tune, but the cat police will be seeking me down on the page and bombarding me with pictures and whatnot, so perhaps that's just enough to push for 1 week. Right, we have a show again. It's Thursday. Hopefully Jim recovers fairly quickly. We've had far too many on this show recently who have sadly passed away or suffering illnesses, and we really need to crack on with things, and the people who are in the positions to do so are doing their best. We all want things to be done a lot quicker and move on with a better life. Right, what have we got this week? We've got a bit of intel. There's a few op-ed pieces that I want to cover, and some ET news and some financial news and the usual BS about Rothschilds. But first we're going to some news items. Now there's been a lot of news items this week. You'll all have noticed that, even without the WikiLeaks stuff, which I'll be hoping to cover more next week when I get time. I'm kind of catching up with things with research at the moment on past history, which is hopefully going to be presented in 1, 2 or even possibly 3 extra shows. So I'm not as up to date this week as I am normally, but we have a reasonable show. Right. Some of the fun and games. President Trump, accusation that his predecessor ordered his phone to be tapped is simply false, according to Barack Obama's spokesman. As he lost the use of his own tongue now, he's not president, thankfully. Kevin Lewis said that neither President Obama nor any White House official ever ordered surveillance on any US citizen. You have to laugh at that. Either they're completely retarded or they just have no eyes or no ears. Maybe they're synthetic. Mr. Trump had tweeted, terrible, just found out Obama had my wires tapped in the Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism. As to date, he gave no details to back the claim, and in his statement Mr. Lewis said a cardinal rule of the Obama administration was that no White House official ever interfered with any independent investigation led by the Department of Justice. If you believe that, you'll literally believe anything. But the statement left open a possibility of a judicial investigation taking place. Well, bring it on. The concern I have is, and why I made this a statement a while ago, which some people agree with and some people didn't, and that's fine. I think somewhere along the line we may have to, if we're going to have full disclosure, we may have to, in some aspects, put a disclaimer on it. That's just my opinion. Everyone else are free to disagree with that. The reason being is we have a lot of new technology coming forward. We have a lot of things that needs to be replaced, phased in, phased out, and some actual living to get on with in each of our lives, not existing and not under intense mind control and all the other stuff that's been trampling all over us. And the last thing I would like to see is around 1,000 class action lawsuits for everything. Those of you who've been involved in anything legal, it's mind-boggling in itself. They basically make their own language that none of us can understand, and least of all, neither can they. And it's just a lot of wrong things has been done to us. Should we be compensated? Yes, in certain ways. Can we be compensated for the total losses? No. The loss of life and the loss of your health really can't be repaid in financial terms. Some people would disagree with that, and again, that's fine. But it's something that I would hope people would think on. Yes, certain ones at the top who have done the most heinous things will be done. There's no question of that. Consequences of actions is in force. But there's a lot of actions that has been done and not enough people to deal with the consequences of it. And this is why it appears to some that things are not moving quick enough. But the changes over the last 2 or 3 months have been extraordinary. Every day now, even on our own page, there's 10 to 12 fairly extraordinary pieces of news. We used to wait 10 to 12 when I first started, would be every 2 or 3 months, maybe even longer. Now it's per day. But as disclosure comes out, more and more comes out, I'd like us, from a personal point of view, to consider not as things in a monetary value. It's what's hampered us to begin with. And yes, we should be provided with the basics in life. We've kind of lost touch with life because of materialism. But they can't repay. I would estimate there'll be around 1,000 class action lawsuits in America for the things that have been done to the American people. That means 300 million involved in 1,000 class action lawsuits. I don't think that's an underestimate either, or an overestimate. The amount of things that have been hidden, where they've sprayed whole towns, they've given people syphilis, TB, typhoid. This has been done over many, many years, and I don't see how money is going to correct that, because it's not going to make you feel better. Yeah, you might have a bigger car or a bigger house or whatever. It doesn't give you back what you've lost. It doesn't give you back what you've lost in education. Each and every one of you listening to this show in America, less so in England unless you're below the age of 50. You've had your life ruined by a lack of real knowledge and real education. You can't get that back, and throw money at it is not the answer. What they can do is, instead of being involved in ridiculous amounts of lawsuits which take time, which take a lot of man hours, which take it just would be time consuming, when we could be building up farms for better food, cleaner water, cleaning up land sites, waste sites, cleaning up hazardous chemicals, planting gardens, revamping the pharmaceutical industry so we get proper cures. Or are we going to spend the next 10 years basically living a life of mindfuck with legalese? It's something that I would like all to consider. As you consider it and you come to a conclusion, you have cast your vote. Remember that. Just because it's not on a piece of paper and a tick box doesn't mean your vote is not recorded. These are some of the changes that have took place, very hidden, over the last number of months. Your vote counts. Use it wisely. Think about it. This is why I'm a lot of the times on the show I'm using devil's advocate, when I'm getting you to think. It's not necessarily my opinion. I'll state it where it's my opinion. I don't, on this particular point, I don't think it's valid that we should be in thousands of class action lawsuits. I don't think it's beneficial to us. It will just spin things out when we can be improving everybody's lives and something more positive. Lawsuits are a negative. It's negative vibration. Something for you all to consider. Now, the powers that were are struggling, and they're doing their utmost to persuade people that the path that America in itself is currently on is a path of disaster. And this is, I'm going to read out a piece from the Washington Post, which is drivel at best, and it basically shows the desperation of where these people are at and the sheer panic as they know their time is up. Donald Trump's, this is the Washington Post, Donald Trump's political career was born amid the fever swamps of the far right, whatever that means. Far right, far left, it's all bollocks to me. He seized on a favourite conspiracy theory. They're using that word again. Bubbling there. The then President Barack Obama was not in fact born in the United States and therefore was an illegitimate president. To boost his profile in national politics, that boost eventually led to his 2016 candidacy. That candidacy led to President Trump, but whatever changed in Trump's roots in the conspiracy theory world, and witnessed several tweets of Trump on Saturday morning suggesting that he was a target of a wiretapping campaign authorised by Mr. Obama. It seems unlikely, given Trump's past pattern of making baseless claims without proof and then simply insisting he is right and no evidence is needed to prove the point, that any meaningful effort will be made by the Trump administration to connect the dots on this alleged wiretapping conspiracy. Here's the thing, they say, went on further, conspiracy theorists see everything as connected. If you doubt them, well, of course you do, because you're in on it. That's not the standard that we can have for the President of the United States. Proof is required. The ball is in Trump's court. Short of convincing evidence to back up wiretapping claims, the conspiracy theory candidate has become the conspiracy theory president. Have you ever heard such drivelling all your life and desperation? You know, I've read better pieces from classmates back in school than so-called national newspapers. And basically what this is telling you is the fake news that they push forward has failed. So now they've resorted back to the trigger word, and yes, it is a trigger word, and that was inserted into the public for a specific reason, to distort things by, guess who? Yes, our favourite people at Langley, CIA, came up with that term, the conspiracy theorist. But the idea of the Washington Post asking for proof from this president, when they've never asked for proof from any other president previously, to my knowledge. Did they ask for proof of Bush, idiot version, saying there was weapons of mass destruction in this country and that country, so we just have to attack them? I don't recall that. You know, did they ask for Obama to issue proof for anything? So why is it suddenly that we have a president who has to basically bandy about words and banter with a rag newspaper? Like I said, it's a sign of their panic. They're doing... It's failed. Everything else has failed. They know the platform of safety for the president is in place, and they know they're coming after them. Washington Post, along with the New York Times and others that distort news, along with CNN, Fox, have all been declared enemies of the state. All of them. They either report the truth or they're going to be stripped, as of a week last Thursday. Enemies of the state. So, for people who listen to this show, your president has declared these people enemies of the state. Should we be buying their newspapers? Should we be watching their so-called news? We have a choice. Turn it off. No listeners, no advertising revenue, no CNN. That's how it works. Here's another clown who's desperately seeking a way back in. I would suggest he'll be finding a way behind bars sooner rather than later. Mr. Tony Blair. He's responded to claims against Mr. Trump again, and he is insisting that he is not pitched to become a Middle Eastern envoy for American President Donald Trump. The denial comes after the Mail on Sunday reported that the former British Prime Minister met the President's son-in-law and key advisor Jared Kushner at the White House last week. The paper claims that the meetings were to continue to discuss working for Mr. Trump. I don't think so. Mr. Blair's office said the story was an invention. It's a bit like Mr. Blair. He's an invention of MI5/6, which is where Mr. Blair came from. He worked for MI5, MI6 before he was Prime Minister. For those of you who want to do some research, go and find out what's the name, Mr. Shaler. Mr. Shaler worked opposite Tony Blair in the intelligence community. They've done all kinds of discredit pieces on him, calling him a transvestite and everything. He wrote a rather good book about his time on the same desk as Mr. Blair in the intelligence agency. And these are the type of people who have been thrust in the past into the head positions. Remember senile Bush, CIA, intelligence, then pushed in as president. This is how it works. This is why the intelligence agencies have been running this country a long time, and in the UK. So Mr. Blair said the story was an invention, and he continues to work for peace in a private capacity. You have to laugh, don't you? Mr. Blair working for peace. Yeah, pull the other one. It gets funny about it, eh? We're all in a sad situation, but it is amusing. The irony of it all. Of course, for those who don't know, Mr. Blair in 1998 kind of lent on Bill Clinton to attack Iraq that particular year. Mr. Clinton refused. So Mr. Blair sent his Mossad agent over to discredit Mr. Clinton. Cigars and stains on the dress and all. So that's where idiot Bush then came in and decided to then go into Iraq. That was before Mr. Clinton was bought and paid for by the Bush Group. Bailed the two of them out, $7.5 million in debt, and they paid it off in the agreement that the Clintons would be part of their group. A little bit of a side story there. Japan's is kind of a hotbed in the Asian community for the cabal, particularly the financial system and the rogue Prime Minister. There's a lot of fun and games going on in Japan currently, and they decided this week to make a change in party rules, allowing for the head of the party to serve 3 consecutive terms for a total of 9 years. This is what Mr. Obama tried to do by initiating martial law. It failed. The change may eventually make current Prime Minister Shinzo Abe Japan's longest serving post-war leader. Mr. Abe, who was 62, took the post in 2012 and may serve until 2021 if he maintains the support of the party. Well, he may have support of the party, but he hasn't got support of the people, or the people who have had enough of cabal presidents or prime ministers. So he can make whatever rules he likes, like Mr. Trump, who cancelled a load of executive orders issued by Obama, I have no doubt that will take place there. Anyway, on to the next story. Mr. Nutty Arsehole has decided that he's in trouble now. He knows he's in trouble and is flitting around the world trying to gain credence with people. This week he went over to see Mr. Putin to allegedly discuss the situation in Syria and Israel's concern over the Iranian paramilitary presence there. Again, you have to laugh the irony of that statement. Who's it that's been bombing Syria with the planes? Don't recall Iran doing it. Anyway, the Israeli leader told his government on Sunday the two leaders will meet in Moscow today. Netanyahu's previous visit to the Russian capital was last June, only a month after the previous one. So it seems Mr. Nutty Arsehole is trying to curry favour. I don't think he'll get far. Mexico. The Mexican president is currently rather unhappy about the wall that has been initiated by Donald Trump and his administration, and the fact that they have to pay for it, which I find rather odd, but maybe there's, as said previous, there's other reasons for that wall. Anyway, the Mexican president this week has chosen to allocate $50 million to his country's consulates across the United States to boost legal aid and protection of Mexican citizens who might be facing deportation. The tensions between the two countries amid concerns of a looming crackdown on illegal immigration under President Trump's administration has prompted Mexican officials to take legal steps to protect their citizens. Basically, I went on to say, what changes today is that we are prioritising legal matters over everything. Previously, we didn't have the need to seek so much legal support for our people. And they're going to give $50 million to 50 Mexican consulates in the United States to provide better legal support for the people. I'm surprised that he didn't mention NAFTA, because if Cozumel, which is an island off the coast of Mexico, is classed under as US control, which it is, so I went there on a cruise about 6 years ago, and they wouldn't stamp my passport because they said I hadn't left US waters. So it would seem that NAFTA is now, that particular agreement is broken down, because under that agreement there shouldn't be immigration between America and Mexico, or America and Canada, or Canada and Mexico, or Canada and America, because it's all classed as one country. That's the idea of NAFTA. That's what was behind it. An expansion of the borders of America, and also cheaper labour. Let's not forget. Now this is another example that's hardly been covered in the media, and something maybe a few people should get a better understanding. Yemen. Now it's gone way beyond the Stargate issue off the south coast of Yemen. This is ongoing slaughter of what's taken place. And Kim Sharif, the Director of Human Rights for Yemen, stated this week, US Navy SEALs in Yemen shot everything that moved, including women and children. The Yemeni people are asking, where are the other powers in the so-called Security Council? Why aren't they standing up for the sovereignty of Yemen when it's clearly in their best interest as well to do so? Now, it's the Saudi-led coalition, yes, them people again, 9/11 and all that, backed by both the United States and the UK, began its intervention in Yemen in March 2015 in an order to allegedly stifle the Houthi uprising, Houthi. Over 10,000 people have been killed since the start of that campaign. Don't hear any of that on CNN, do you? Many humanitarian organisations accuse coalition forces of deliberately targeting civilians, while the UN says the intervention puts the whole nation at risk of famine. 60% of civilians are victims of the air raids led by the Saudi coalition. They are deliberately targeting civilian areas. For example, schools have been hit 800 times. And they went on to say, why would someone hit schools? There is clearly a need to just kill as many people as possible and subjugate into having to accept a president chosen for them by the Saudi coalition. So given that you now know who interferes in elections, you also know who's part of the Saudi coalition. So they're trying to get them to install a Saudi stroke agency, CIA, president into Yemen to suit their ends yet again. People are saying in Yemen this Al-Qaeda business seems to be the product and proxy of the US regime via its Saudi puppet in the Middle East. We now know that Al-Qaeda and all of those involved in terrorism of 9/11 are none other than the royal family of Saudi Arabia. The right thing to do would be to attack Riyadh and not Yemen. You know, this is what our soldiers in our name are being asked to do. And people say sometimes I'm a bit too hard on the American soldiers, but this is what they're doing, and we shouldn't sit back and say nothing. We just shouldn't. It's not right, and it's been done in our name, and I know I don't like it, and I'm sure people who are born here, once they know the full truth, wouldn't like it either. You know, it's outrageous. 81 elections CIA has been involved in, or distorted, and they're trying to do another one. So, that's the news. I'm going to go into some where are we? Okay, just getting reports from the page. Right, where are we next? So I mentioned earlier about the lawsuit parade, and that's something we all should consider. Something else that really needs considering is yet again the alternative media legal people are embroiled in more dick swinging, my law's better than your law, and all that rubbish. You know, they're arguing over terminology. You know, the point being, and this applies to, I'm not blaming one individual, Anna Von Rights, National Liberty Alliance, Tribal Law People, and this new group, Doucette and Hamilton. You know, I'm not a legal person. You know, like most, you can't understand hardly any of it. I'm not too sure how much they understand either, given they seem to be using the same terminology that has controlled us to begin with, jurisdiction and stuff like that. It's babble. Legalese, babble. And this is kind of rumbled on for the last 2 or 3 years, and nothing's been done, because they're all arguing over minor points of law. You know, get together. I tried to do this 2 years ago on Cosmic Voice. Get together and just ignore the differences and actually produce something between you that's going to bring this system down quicker. Not my program or my law is better than your law. You're playing the same game as the cabal. Divide and conquer. So while you all argue over points of law, these clowns continue. They're laughing. You need to quit the infighting and the distraction, all of you, and start working together. You know, if the cabal step down tomorrow and we sack the whole legal system and you people are the ones left in charge, is it going to be any different? You've had many years to come up with a system between all of you who understand it better than we do, but you're still arguing. It's not the way forward. It's just not. You all have much to offer. Use it wisely rather than debating points of this line and this paragraph 1 and section 2 and all of that BSery that they come out with in legal terms. You know, common law. Or, like another arguing point, someone saying natural law. Who cares? Call it whatever you like, as long as it's not their law and their rules and their regulations that's trampled all over us. Thou shalt not harm, injure, steal or murder. There's your 4 laws. It covers everything. Aligned with personal responsibility. So why do you need all these subtitles, jurisdictions and all this bullshittery? That's their stuff. Common stroke natural law. That's all we have to do. Surely all 4 groups can agree on that. Right. Putting bloodlines as guardians. That caused a bit of angst. But again, I repeat, it was a playing the devil's advocate, designed to get people to think on certain things. If we the people are going to be in charge, these are the type of decisions we the people have to be thinking about. Now, the reason I brought it forward is, yes, there's a lot of the bloodlines and the royalty who have done wrong. They also have a lot of knowledge. Good knowledge and the dark knowledge. Some of which we're going to need going forward so we understand how certain things on this planet work. The hidden stuff, the hidden knowledge, the black magic. Do we wipe them all out and lose all that knowledge? Or do we use those people until they die a natural death? Most of them will be gone in 30, 40 years anyway. That was the reason I brought that suggestion up. So I hope people now understand that it's not my stated belief, it's something I'm asking people to consider. The Vatican Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has destroyed almost everything to do with our history. Large chunks of it. To fulfill their own agenda. Rewrite his story. Will we make the mistake of erasing the ones who can rewrite our story? Something to consider. One of the other things that came up this week, and I kind of touched on it earlier in this show, is about money. And we've seen some articles this week, and we've heard many things over the past few weeks. The sheer depths that people will go just to make it. Body parts. This is part of the human trafficking. You've got people in certain countries and Western countries who are selling kidneys to get them out of the debt, or so they can go and buy more drugs or more alcohol or more cars or whatever. Is this the level we've sank to? That everything has to revolve around money. You've got people who have no option but to do things that we don't like. In Africa, we're killing elephants for ivory. Killing another living being to provide ornaments. Or skinning cats and other animals so you can wear a coat. Now, a lot of these people in those areas have been that downtrodden that they don't know no other way. They have no other option. It's the only way they can make money to exist. It's high time that when the humanitarian programs are rolled out in full, some of them have already started, that we provide those people with a means to earn, to not only exist, but to thrive. So they're not killing lions and extincting more animals, which then comes back on us via the astral trap. You got people in Brazil chopping down all the trees because that's the only way they can exist. All to make money. So the people who ask for Nasara, and I've been one of them, maybe it's something to consider. How low is humanity going to go for the sake of money? Taking people to cut them up and steal their body organs, it boggles my mind. But it's the sign of the sheer depravity of people who've put money above everything else. Money are pieces of paper, remember that. Diamonds are bits of glass. Gold is a lump of metal. None of them have any value. It's only what humanity puts on it. The only thing of value on this planet are the living beings. They are everything. The plant life, the insects, the mammals, fish, birds, humans and non-humans. But the minute if we continue down the path where pieces of paper and lumps of metal become our only God, we're heading for the same path as the cabal. It's utter heinous. Killing animals and cutting humans up to make money. To me, the collateral accounts should be used to provide everybody with the basic needs in life. And once a trust is developed from the new people that have taken over between the rest of humanity, then really we have to start looking at ending this monetary system. It's an Orion template of control. That's my opinion. Now, just before the top of the hour, what you're going to find now, or what you've already found, is distractions will be increasing. Lots of fake or complete bullshittery news so they can cover up what's really going on with the pedophiles and the State Department, aka shadow government. Both of those groups are being hunted down. I think that's become fairly obvious now. It's no longer behind the scenes, it's right out in front of us. And I would ask members or the listeners, focus your energy on the removal of the shadow governments, not only in America. We're not the only country with shadow governments. The pedos and the trafficking people. Everything else of whether Trump said this or Obama did that or this did this is kind of irrelevant. What you'll find is once Pizzagate reaches its full conclusion, 40 to 50% of public figures, all public figures, will be arrested. So half the clowns and the idols, in inverted commas, on your national TV will vanish from that box into a barred box. That may be a shock to many, but we've kind of covered this many times where we've stair-stepped of how far this goes. Scotland Yard, similar to the FBI in America, was sitting on a whole ring of pedophiles 30 years ago. I've seen some of the documents of those who were involved and why they stopped it. The reason being, it goes far higher than people think. It's not some top of the pops guy or news presenter or some kids show. It goes way, way higher. All the way to the higher echelons of government and certain palaces. And so they choked, Scotland Yard did, when they realised who Savile was operating on behalf. One hopes the people in Britain provide the platform for them to come forward, safe in the knowledge that when they deliver that information, they're not going to get a bullet in the back of the head or some dodgy heart attack weapon. We have to start providing platforms for people to come forward. Mr. Trump's got one. We need platforms in the NSA. We need platforms in the Department of Homeland Security. We need platforms in MI5 and MI6, where people can have the confidence to come forward and let out what they know and expose the people who have been committing criminality of the highest order. Right, we're kind of at the top of the hour. We'll have some intel and some more pieces I want to cover in the second hour before we go into some questions. But things are moving now, are really moving, and humanity stands on the brink. Don't forget, my name is Human. Hi all, and welcome back to the second hour this evening. We're going to get into a bit of intel. There's not as much as last week. That was some show that. It was about 30-40 minutes of intel last week. But there's been a lot of fun and games going on. Mainly above our heads, and some underground fun and games. Now, at the centre of all this is the entity known as Hillary Clinton. Now, it's now been confirmed that that entity is no longer human. Of course, this show announced last September that the original died, and that still stands. But these hidden elements in our midst are still continuing to play fun and games, still continuing to threaten people in certain agencies and five-sided buildings. And Clinton, or Hitler, is now trying to recreate a Langley 2. Now, it was announced last week that Langley 2 has split. Langley 2 is the mirror groups that we've been telling you about. Everyone thought there's only one CIA and there's one FBI. Well, there's not. There's mirror breakaway groups. And Langley 2, which was rogue, based on the lies that they were told, that some of them decided to break ranks and go back to the original CIA, some of which is corrupted, as we all know, courtesy of the Bush group. But there's a lot in there who now decide that they want to do the right thing for the people and the country in that order. It should always be that order. and they're panicking. Of course, Langley 3 is a splinter group of 2, and they're now, because of the sheer panic of the investigations, some assassinations and some arresting of certain elements within 2, they're in panic. This is why I kind of covered recently about the Blacklist show in around episode 15 through 24. It basically told you what's taken place now, the second season, where the FBI and the CIA quit competing against each other and started working under a common goal to take down the cabal, or the transnational corporations. Same name, in essence. They own all of it. So she's setting up, or the entity operating is setting up a group she's called GHS, another mercenary style group. And what they're trying to do, or what they've been trying to do, is try to take out the Queen of England. Now, people know my opinion on her. It hasn't swayed one iota. Her and her family have committed a number of sins, some of the most heinous. But as it stands now, and we can only go in the now, she has prevented the releasing of the internet RV, which would doom us all. The cabal and the elite families are sitting either on bogus bonds, bogus dinars, which they are, bogus zims, and dongs. It's almost like a kid's nursery rhyme, isn't it? Tims and dongs and zims and again, you can't make this stuff up. The initiation of the internet RV liquidates all that bogus fake currency. It puts them back into the game. Now, is the Queen helping us out the goodness of her own heart? Not really. Basically, she's been pushed out the game. So the enemy of your enemy is now my friend. That's how it works. And this is why I said there's a lot of former cabal or elites who have now chosen a different path. Don't for 1 minute think it diminishes what they've done previously. I want to make that quite clear before somebody else jumps down my throat on the page. That is not the case. But she is preventing them liquidating bogus currencies which would wipe us all out. Some of the projects the cabal have got for us, we're all aware of it: Agenda 21, 90% depopulation, World War III, etc, etc, etc. All that's being blocked because they've got no funds. All their derivative debt would be wiped out. So the idiot son with the big ears, commonly known as helicopter head, for those of you who live in Liverpool, you'll know that term, thinks he can sign off on it. So by taking out the Queen, he, being second in command or second in line, would then take over sovereignty. I keep talking about that word because it's so important at this time. Everything is about sovereignty. If you've got it, you can sign off on things. If you haven't, you can't. This is what's stifling the Rothschilds, and this is what's stifling the UN. They don't have sovereignty anymore. In fact, the reality is Rothschilds never had sovereignty. They just awarded it to themselves. And perhaps some of the clowns with the stars on their shoulders in our military people will one day have a knock on the head moment and realise as such. So Charles then can issue sovereignty to the Rothschilds, and this is why MI5 are currently involved in it. The Queen is being kept safe. So the Queen, this is why it came up about issuing the Commonwealth. You can, under the Commonwealth, you can declare emergency laws and negate all of theirs. So this is part of the fun and games that's going on. Now, if the entity operating as Hillary succeeds, which I don't think she will become the head and also the president of the United States factions, and will make the foundation people their personal piggy bank under direct orders. It's time certain people with a bit of clout and weaponry did the right thing. So the Rothschilds, like I've been saying in previous shows, have been searching everywhere for sovereignty. But the good guys in most, if not all, of the governments now, they're all aware of what's going on. I've figured out that the Rothschilds are not as sovereign as they claim to be. They're just not. Threatening everybody. And basically that's the only thing that's keeping them from being arrested or taken out. The Rothschilds have failed to control the Commonwealth. We've been keeping you updated on this in recent shows. They've failed. It's now high time the Commonwealth countries banded together, all 52 of them, and did the right thing. And so what the Rothschilds are doing now, and given we have a lot of listeners, they won't be too pleased from this particular country. The Rothschilds are now in Holland, now known as the Netherlands, although quite widely changed the name of the country. Perhaps one of them can inform me why. I've no doubt it's some hidden word magic, no doubt. So the Rothschilds are trying to gain control via the Netherlands now. Of course, they failed to have it signed off in the UK. They failed in Thailand. They failed in Africa, and they are about to fail in Australia and New Zealand also. They failed to gain any leverage with any royal family that can sign off, not just Britain. Of course, that's why they're going to Holland. Holland's played a bigger role in world empiring than most people realise. They were right alongside Britain and the British Empire, the East India tea companies. For those of you who want to do some research, you'll find out. Of course, Britain had a Dutch Prime Minister in the 1600s. The people of Ireland won't like why that person was there. They'll know. Battle of the Boyne and all that stuff. Other attempts by the Rothschilds also ties into the fun and games in Antarctica, because there's some sovereign land down there also. We'll get more on that over the coming weeks and months. Marduk. Many people have heard that term. That particular being, entity, is why this planet's in such a mess. A master of manipulation. He has controlled many of the past 20 to 30 American presidents direct. He also controlled and set up the whole control system for this planet. What he didn't do is tell all the others how he did it, how it operates. And the cabal and the successive layers of the cabal were basically just head slaves. See, it's not just us that are considered slaves. This is what they are beginning to find out. This is why many of them are stepping down and helping. They've been lied to. So many of them are still sticking it out. They think they're going to get certain titles and certain wealth and all kinds of other bullshittery. They won't. So these people thought they were a lot more important than they thought they are. And if they were that important as they thought or think they are, they would know how the control system operates. And this is how it works, or it has worked, compartmentalization. Except for the cabal, it's worked in reverse. Because nobody knew the plan from the top down. Once that one was removed, there was no one to follow who knew the plan. That's how they set it up. And the cabal failed to see it, because each successive layer only knows a portion of the story, and none of them know the full story. So because they sectioned it all off and didn't pass down the information, what we have now is no one able to take over the whole control system, as no one knows how to operate it. Nobody. They never shared, Marduk and the others never shared the entire plan with Rothschilds or anybody else. They, like I said, head slaves. So they never built anything. Marduk built it all and put them all in their place, like nice little puppets. And we think we're the only ones with strings. Did say they were puppets a long time ago. People were going, no, they're more important than you realise, and they've got this and they've got that. No, they haven't. So the Rothschilds feel that they're entitled to control this whole planet. A bit like the Washington Post asking Mr. Trump to show proof of wiretapping. Perhaps the Rothschilds can show proof that they're entitled to anything bar death. Because we would like to see it. And they're basically trying to carry out the roughly 1% of the plan they knew about. 1%. So it seems they were not as important as they thought they were. Cabal this week. were trying to use up to 6 advanced aircraft. Whether one of them that was put on the page today in Orlando is one of them is unsure at this point. And basically these 6 craft was designed to cause mayhem globally this week. It failed. So, but it just is put in this show to warn you that they're still trying to pull off their genocide, and also to let you know they're still failing. This week and the latter part of last week, there was a Galactic court that took place, a council, and the tall whites and the Raptor group were the ones in the dock, so to speak, for interference on this planet. Well, the tall whites have come into line, and they're not totally in tune with humans, because they kind of view us in bad light, most of them anyway. But the Raptor group basically told the council to go and F themselves, and are now facing the consequences of their stance. The tall whites have also agreed to help us block any attempts to pull off large-scale attacks on humanity using bio-warfare methods via the advanced craft mentioned in the previous item. This week, attacks on bases underground and attacks on their control of the energy grids was ramped up, and it continues at a pace and has largely been successful. Where are we next? There's many people on the internet talking about different councils and different federations and cosmic council, galactic councils and universal councils. There's so many of them. This is just an overview. It's not designed at one particular group. It's kind of a word of caution to many who are operating in that realm, and it must be adhered to. With any councils that are of a cosmic nature, due to previous councils operating with a sleight of hand method, they've duped us every single time. Humanity has largely been overlooked, neglected and deceived, largely due to being seen as having inferior needs, and trade deals trump everything. So basically, as long as trade of whatever item continued to flow, it was okay to trample over humans and other beings in this universe, as long as trade continues on its merry path. This has to stop, not only here, but everywhere. We've had enough of being interfered with. We are owed a lot of support and a lot of help. We have been sold out for far too long, and it's high time that many of the people who think they can come here and use and abuse us either come and help to correct it or piss off. So far, the UPU has done a lot to help us. Does that mean we have to trust the UPU 100%? No. As much as I'd like to be. There's always going to be elements of doubt, because it's the great unknown. It's the great unknown. Most of us are not aware of what goes on out there. It's been hidden from us for so long. Trust, like everything else, has to be built up and earned on both sides. An overview of humanity would leave other civilizations shaking their head at the behaviour that goes on here. Like I mentioned it previous. The lengths people go just to make money. Anyone looking down on that would not view it in good light. So we have to do our part also. Now, what is going on the ground? I think I've finished with the ET stuff. Yes. At the moment, and this is going on largely in that famous place that most people get annoyed at, behind the scenes, except we're seeing a lot of the behind the scenes stuff now splashed all over the media, and not just alternative either. But there's currently an oversight committee that is going through every corporation that deals with advertising and subliminal mind control. All of them. Once findings are made, there will be court proceedings taken out against the said corporations. That has to end. And it appears it's been taken head on. The difference people will experience when that type of control is removed will be noticeable. Like a bing going off in your head, literally. Because they've been fed a constant diet of it over most of our lives. You've got used to negative frequencies. So when the new one comes in, everyone feels a bit giddy and woozy, and all kinds of strange things are happening. I've seen enough of it on the page. That's why. Look out for the Ides of March. Lots of financial meetings are ongoing, including the Fed. They may bring gifts. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, probably the biggest story this week has been the WikiLeaks stuff. In essence, it's not really told us anything most of us didn't know. Yes, it's an extra confirm, but deep down we all knew that massive surveillance, not on terrorists, oh no, on us, all of us. Everything that has a chip in it can be programmed to be surveillance, be it listening or visual. Everything. Some people recently have found out that in TVs, Samsung tell you, but then say, oh, we only use it in special circumstances. Bullshit. These people are perverts, remember. So it's not listening to people doing plots or any of that funny games. It's who they can target, who's the threats, who they can target, who they can spy on, who they can they get some dirt on, so they can pull them out of the game. So this week we found out they're in cars. Why do you think they had those, what was it, on-board cars where it links direct to some alleged repair guy if your car breaks down? That's the sleight of hand. They're to monitor you. Not interested when your car breaks down or you've had an accident. That's just a side issue. Credit cards, the chips, tracking devices, listening devices, passports the same, kitchen items. Go and buy TVs in the fridge door. No, you just set up a webcam. Webcams, printers, phones, smartphones. All surveillance, tracker, audio and visual. So what they're telling us is nothing really new. Not in the alternative media may tell you greater depths of it. You know, there was a big issue a couple of years ago about RFID chips. Did you know they've been in your clothes for the last 10 years? Oops. You know who buys it, and you know who wears it, and you know when it's worn. Anyway, NSA. This is not about international terrorism. Never was. We already had a department for that, remember, in case people have forgotten, called the CIA, which is known as cocaine in America, for a reason. So, why the duplication? So, if NASA is spying on everyone in America, NASA, slip of the tongue there, same thing, same people, Nazis. NSA is spying on everyone in America. Why have they not arrested the pedophiles? Why have they not arrested a large chunk of the CIA for drug running? Or interfering in elections? Or planning false flags? Or the murders? The assassinations? Or the CIA involved in and with criminal organisations, creating and paying for mercenary groups? Why haven't they arrested insider traders, rogue bankers? In fact, why haven't they solved nearly every crime that is committed with so much surveillance? Obviously, that question is rhetorical. But if that's what they're employed for, their levels of incompetency know no bounds. And then the answer to that is, if they're that incompetent, why are they here? Where is the accountability? Now the solution is disband it entirely. All of it. Clean out the CIA and transfer some of the better people in the NSA over to a new revamped CIA and actively pursue all the criminals who do harm not only in this country but to this country. Of course, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, same thing. They're not here to protect this country. They're here to protect the criminals. and operate the Fourth Reich. Same name the Nazis created in the 40s or 30s, Department of Homeland Security. Exactly the same name as Hitler. So you think that's just a coincidence that they used that name? Is it buggery? It's right in your face. NSA. It's not National Security Agency, but Nazi Spying Agency. Both on and against us. And it's time to ramp up house cleaning in this country. As of now, not months or years, now. The cabal and their minions are a complete blight on this planet and a blight on humanity. And this country has been raped and pillaged and murdered for far too long and destroyed. Yes, they had an excuse in the past. The ET overlords that make them do stuff that they didn't want to do. That excuse is now rendered mute. They're doing it because that's what they want to do. No ET overlords tell them you have to do this. This is a human issue now. So they're doing it because they want to. And we should act likewise and declare them, not just the media, declare them enemies of the state. Put surveillance on all the people working in NSA and the Department of Homeland Security, and provide security for people in those organisations who don't want to go along with that programme to come forward with their stories and help arrest the deviants in our midst. This is the white elephant in America, where many Americans don't want to view it. It's always the boogeyman, 6,000 to 8,000 miles away. It's the Russians, it's the commies, it's the Chinese, it's the Muslims. No, 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 and no. It's on our soil. It always has been. They're the same people that create the bogus Cold War. They're creating the bogus clash of the civilizations, Muslim versus Christian. It's the same people. It's the same people in the Second World War. It's just their descendants. Let's stop looking outside of our own country and let's deal with the clowns in it. There's many people in the agencies, good people. Some of them have done bad things. Some of them had no option. They were under threat. It's time the people who operate in those fields get together. I know many of you are in very difficult and trying circumstances, where a bullet in the back of the head is only a second away. Not many people would take that risk. But not everyone has lost a set of balls. And many are now putting their necks on and heads on the line to correct what's been going on this planet. We should honour all of them. Names don't really matter who's doing what. It's the fact that it's getting done that counts. My message to the people who listen to this show is give them the space to do it, and give them the support who it is to do it. Not everything has to happen, or not everything can happen in 1 or 2 weeks. The levels of criminality and the depth of the control system goes way more than most realise. It's going to take a lot of time to bring the whole lot down. It's taken a lot of time to work out it exists and how chunks of it operates. To convince 209 countries, governments, that they don't have to kowtow to Rothschilds because they have no credence. That they don't have to kowtow to the UN. They have no sovereignty. They have no control, and they have no power. None. Many are in different portions of the pie where they've done deals, and so they're kind of pushed into continuing, otherwise they lose everything. Well, you can always rebuild. Can't rebuild in a box. Now, I was listening to Th&I, and he comes out with some interesting stuff. And his recent one was interesting and confirms many things that are ongoing. Basically, this is it's not 100% foolproof or correct, and Th&I will tell you that. It's based on probabilities, based on the traffic on the internet. It sets trends, and he's very, very good at reading those trends. But like I said, he'll say it himself, it's not 100% cast down in stone. It's how it continues on. It sets a very good probability that certain things, the higher that probability, the more chances of it coming to fruition. But he mentioned about silver and a possible breakout. Now, we've kind of heard this before, and it's going to this so many $100 an ounce, and gold's going to 5 or 10 or 50,000 an ounce, and all this stuff. A bit like the RV, it's never happened. But the one thing I wanted to mention over silver is he was correct. I was told back in 2004 that within 16 years silver would become a rare item. There's not enough to fulfill the need. Of course, JP Morgan have leveraged it something like 200 to 1. So they haven't got enough silver to cover the assets they've paid out on. It's them who's controlled the silver market. Now, with the new technology, as Cliff went in great deal, talked in great deal about, that silver is not going to last. The estimate back in 2004 was that in 2020 we will run out of silver. So the scenario that Cliff described, where they're going to go knocking on doors and asking, will you sell silver platters, is a fairly reasonable assumption to make. there just isn't enough. A lot of the new technology relies more on silver than it does gold because of the extra isotope. Don't ask me to explain that, as I don't know. It just has an extra isotope. But those of you who are scientifically minded will understand that. So where will that leave silver? Well, I know many of you took our advice many years ago, 3-4 years ago, to buy some. Keep hold of it. Just keep hold of it. I was shown a video this week and I thought I would add it in because it's something we've covered many times, and the various colours and creeds of people on this planet. This guy is called Kevin Martin, and he's a black conservative politician, and he was standing in front of a white anti-Trump woman protester and started issuing facts. As per usual, when you give the sheep facts, they either roll their eyes, laugh, tell you to F off, or walk away. And this particular woman decided to walk away. I imagine around 90% of those people with boards, even ignoring for the paid actors, have no idea, if asked, why they are there, other than to say, I don't like Trump. He can't give you an explanation as to why. It's just, well, it's Trump. So this particular guy, I'm giving him his due, he fairly hammered his own colour, the black people. And he said that I'm 2,000 times more likely to be killed by a fellow black man in this meeting. And you're talking about Trump being racist. And he reeled off a whole heap of others. But he's the type of guy that the black people need. Because the conditions for the slavery and the awful things that were done to the black people and still goes on in some regions. I don't think it's all gone away, but I'm talking about you can't use the same toilets or the same water faucets and all that ridiculous fun and games that went on 40, 50, 60 years ago. This guy needs to be championed for telling the truth. There's no reason in this day and age for the amount of ghettos, mainly black ghettos, that we have in this country, and not only this country, back in England also. There's no need to have ghettos. Some of the richest people got lots of money in those communities. They make a lot of money selling drugs. So why is the whole community trashed? Because the people don't look after it. That's their personal responsibility. There's lots of people who are struggling financially, but they'll still keep their home or trailer van respectful and tidy. They have a bit of personal pride. And the same applies to the Native American people, which I've highlighted, and it's got me a bit of abuse for highlighting that certain chiefs and certain tribes are Western criminals. We all have to clean house. The Native American people have to clean house. the black people, have to clean house. We, the white people, also have to clean house. And we have to look at our, each individual has to look at where we're at and what we're doing and what's the impact around us. So, kudos to Kevin Martin for standing up and doing and saying the right thing. He knows he'll get a load of abuse from the people of same colour. But it's people like him who point out our own failings have to be addressed, and we can't continue to blame everybody else. Basically, he's saying personal responsibility. So kudos to that man. Where are we? I'm going to read this out before. I've still got a bit more on I want to cover, what I need to cover, but I'm going to read something out, something I've been studying and something I would like all of you to read. I will be posting it, but it gives you an idea of some of the history that's been hidden from us and some of the things that took place and some of the thinking behind these people, and it sends a message. As I've already told you before, Isadora, most people are stupid. Look around. There is a lot of cowards and idlers who will give everything only to remain aside feeling safe and protected. They believe that they live in faith and truth, spending whole days in idleness and enjoying the happiness of their stupid personal small world. They hide behind the backs of the brave and strong, who they use and then destroy. One doesn't require a brilliant mind to do mean things, Isadora, but regrettably there is another kind of people, those who always stand ahead and their life becomes a light that points the way to others. They are incredibly dangerous. They don't think like others wish them to. They carry their damn light regardless of any danger without sparing their lives. You are one of them, Isadora, just like your sweet daughter Anna. That is why, to be perfectly honest, I will never let you go, even if you give me what I ask. You will stay here and be a queen. If you submit to me, or a prisoner, if you don't, I cannot free you, despite that I love you. That was said in 1555, 1559 by Pope Paul IV, Gian Pietro Carafa. People are stupid. You are of the light. We will kill you. This is what took place in the 1500s. There was a lot of light beings around at that time, and the Catholic Church set fire to them alive. I'll be covering more of that in future shows. Alright, we're going to have a music break. Here's a new song for you, Living Inside the Shell. Hi all, welcome back to the final portion of tonight's show. Hello darkness, my old friend. Yes, so you have to make friends with the darkness, and we have to end some of the unbalanced elements as well. I'd like to say thank you to all the light warriors who've been very busy this week. You know who you are, and you know the progress that's been made. Thank you for listening to the call. Right. Last hour went on a bit longer than I thought it would do. So we're short of questions. We've got a load of questions. I'll get through some of them shortly. But I just wanted to say another piece. We're in and on the precipice of more exciting times. Changes are being made and will be made. Now, we've all listened to many people over the internet, and some talking about a certain event, like it's going to be switched on and off, like a light switch. My opinion is that's not the way it's going to play out, and it will be a series of realizations that things have changed. You know, a light switch event and subsequent parties that we've all been looking forward to, whilst that will be great, it's kind of short-term thinking in many aspects. And celebrating, of course we'd all celebrate, that's understandable. But also we must also look at the overview, and that's kind of the way where I come from in a lot of my stances. I look at it from an overview point of view rather than in the midst. And if you gain an overview, you tend to see a lot more of the patterns and the pictures and the narrative, where it's going, where it's leading to. But at the end of the cabal, or the control system, like I said, celebrating is understandable, but it also must be looked at. Is it not also a big admission of our own failure as a collective to allow what has taken place here for so long? That's the overview. Some of the things that we've contributed to it without realising, through ignorance, through not being told, and through our own desire to have an easy and comfortable life as possible. Many still choose to go that path. All of you who listen have chose to go the more difficult path. You took the hard route. But the overview is, we've been seduced by short-term gain, entranced by new technology, which is A, not new, B, largely harmful, and C, we have forgotten what we had before. Ego, the love of power instead of the love of money, or the love of money. You know, instead of the love of power, you should have the power of love. Greed, envy, money, material things, alcohol, drugs, religion, all of them have been designed to distract and keep everything outside of you. All of them. When everything everyone ever needs is inside. The answers to everything. We've all got questions that we'd like answers. The answers are inside you. It always was. You've just forgotten. Happiness, contentment, sense of being, self-empowerment, sovereignty, sense of purpose, healing, emotions, self-worth, esteem. All of those come from you. Allowing others to influence all of the above is a dereliction of duty to the self. A crutch to lean on has always been an all too comfortable stance for us all, myself included. I'm not, make no mistake, I'm just as guilty as each and every one of it. It's the victimhood saviour complex we all too readily comply with. Look inward, feel for you. Everything you needed is inside of you once you recognise it. Now, sadly we lost one of our regular posters recently, Rodney the Loach. Rodney got it. He understood on a higher level. And this is, next piece I'm going to read out is his. And it's as follows. As I turn my mind outward to seek its answers, I find myself returning to my seat of knowledge, my own place of vision. This tall finger of rock, unwarmed by time, reaching up from nothing to stand above the flow of the universe, offering vantage, so that by standing outside alone I may observe the lessons of time and this cold stone. Is the seat of my reason for here, I may stand and forget fear, the stone offering its solidity as an anchor against the fall into the abyss at my feet, which runs through the swirling river called time. Aye, the wind blows cool, caressing me, calling me, and I turn my heart outward to be swept towards all the places this wind may see, and the patterns of this wind have destiny, ends for which they seek. My heart follows, seeking with it, luring my soul. The attractions are strong, pulling me. I feel the need to follow, and I reach with empty hand for that which someday proved to be me. I return to my vantage point, the finger of ancient rock thrust upwards by the immense weight of the swirling waters, the river of time, and I lay my hand upon the cold, smooth stone, sensing its ancient language through the nerves of my fingertips, and it speaks to the upheavals in the river at its feet, of its age and its pains. And I come to realise as it speaks that it speaks not to me, for I am here as witness, my presence almost unnoticed, only a small drop in this great river. But it speeches with God and itself, and I grasp this knowledge from here, withdrawn to witness. I stand and learn that. Like this great rock, my speech is also with God and myself. I feel the labours of the exhaustion of mind, of searching I know not what I seek, only that I must, and the endless wandering of paths as yet untrodden tires my soul, and I seek rest as I also seek answers. Lying amid unknown regions, I calm myself for rest, and as I lie, I hear the melodies reaching the depths of my soul, of forgotten wanderers, and I realise as I welcome sleep into my soul that I am not the first, nor alone, to wander these strange paths in search of knowledge, to appease the hunger of knowledge ingrained in my soul. I lay my body down so that I may loosen its hold on my mind. I slip free to wander freely, not truly seeking, yet I am drawn, and there shines a light I have not seen, and wonder fills me, for I see that this light withdraws from reach, yet waits, calls for me, and I know this light is mine. My door to my own answers, and that I must learn to free my soul from my mind, just as I am free of body, for the reach of mind is limited, and only my soul may truly run free. Rodney Deloach, who sadly passed away recently. That man got it. He understood the overview, that everything was inside of him. He searched, researched, when the answers were already there. The overview, when he mentioned about reaching up from nothing to stand above, offering vantage, that's taken the overview stance, not immersing himself in the midst of the bullshittery and the diversion and the distraction that is thrown at us. From a vantage point you can see better, and so could he. But it pulls you in. Everything then is about trying to let the mind take over the soul. This is why we do meditation. It shuts the mind down. Then the real you comes into play. The spirit, the soul. Then you suddenly are able to do things you thought were not possible. Fly. It's not imagination. It's reality. What we think of here is reality is not. It's the illusion pulling you out of reality. And Rodney understood this better than most. Wanderers realising he's not alone, realising he's wandering strange paths in search of knowledge, but the knowledge is already there in his soul. It's all about accessing it. And as he said at the end, the light was there, and it was his light, his door to his own answers. That's what happens when you become in tune with the self, when you do your shadow work and your inner work and your meditation. You become as one with the self. Those able to do that successfully, as Rodney clearly has, otherwise he wouldn't be able to write what he did, realise the overview point of view, that all the rest is just total bullshittery and illusion and distraction. This is what religion and other distractive entertainments have done. Take you outside, worshipping idols or false gods outside of yourself. Never give your power to anybody. Yes, you can admire certain people for what they do, but don't be honouring them, because nobody is above you. Nobody. So I hope you enjoyed that piece, as I did, because I like to see people who get it, and Rodney got it, and it's just sad that we have lost that sort of wisdom. But with the way things are going now, as one falls, two emerges. This is where the fulcrum is tipped. You remove one cabal, two stepped up in their place. It's the other way round now. So, on we go. Some questions. I missed out a news item. Not that he's that important. Mr. Martin McGuinness in Ireland is apparently dying. No loss. Research what he got up to. He was not a man of the Irish people. He was a supporter of the elites. Mr. Badge of Hibernian, Knights of Malta. Some questions. So Cliff High stated that we could be looking at chaos in March. Are we talking total chaos or the transitional expected temporary chaos discussed previously? Well, that depends on the personal perspective. What some people see as chaos, some people see as fun. So there is a possibility that there will be financial fun and games. There's a possibility that we will gain from those financial fun and games. So it's about perspective. But if you're thinking it's going to be carnage and martial law and all that other bullshittery, I would say no. But there will be disruption. It could be involved media. Now they've been declared enemy of state. Wouldn't it be fun if they were all arrested live on air? So I wouldn't rule that out. Might be chaos for the sleepers, but to us we'll find it highly amusing. So there's good chaos and there's obviously bad chaos. Largely to date, given how much has already been accomplished, it's been done without any chaos. We hope that continues. Have never a straight answer. Okay, Nazis found any life in Kennedy Space Center yet? I can answer that in many different ways. As the saying goes, there's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Some of the tall greys were operating in that building. There's been a few who've come forward and stated so. So there's various types of life. Whether they're all sentient and all intelligent is highly debatable, I have to say. Where are we next? I live in Ojai, I hope I pronounced that correctly, California, where many think this is a portal of some kind, the feminine counterpart to Sedona. Sometime around 2012, late at night, our entire mountain range and sky was lit up in a magnificent blue light, almost as bright as day. There were several flashes and sustained blue light. Any comments on who and what this may have been? That was a Star Wars battle. There was quite a significant battle that took place over Californian skies around 2011-2012 time. I would suggest that was probably it. There was all kinds of advanced weaponry, and some people were reporting lasers being fired and explosions and everything. That was ET wars. As for the portal, there's many portals. Where there's a mountain, there's a portal. Now there's some of them that are dotted in on energy grids. There's some of them in the oceans. Previously they were on land, until some clowns decided to drop the water ocean on our heads a long time ago and buried most of it. I'm not too sure where. I'll ask the question on, but I'm not too sure who reported this. So, can you share with us regarding all the missing high-profile people from planes, trains, and automobiles, and is it tied into Antarctica? I don't know whether that's a specific story put out by somebody else on the internet that I haven't been witnessing or read. But we did warn many months ago that high-profile people would suddenly start dying off or going missing. Some of it's tied to the pedophile, and some of it is tied to the fact that they are the host of the entities that were caught in November. As they die, so does the host. And a lot of them are attached to public figures. 125, 150 of them have these reptilian type hosts. So I hope that explains it. It's been said that the 4D is the construct of the dark ETs, where they tweak things for the 3D reality, and we have to pass through it to get to 5D. Are we now passing through 4D en route to 5D, and that's why we're experiencing so much purging and cleansing? It's almost been described like it's a destination. We are already there. It's just a different frequency. You know, there's been a lot written about where we get on craft and travel to a 5D planet. There's 4D beings below our feet. How can that be if this is a 3D planet? These different dimensions are just different frequencies. That's all. The idea that we have to travel anywhere to go there is bullshit. Yes, there's a change in the vibration. There's a change in the frequency. There's a change in a lot of things, and this is why so many things are appearing different. The crystal core of the planet is spinning faster than the crust. This is why we're experiencing time slips. So there's a lot of things that are going on that science, or the average science, can't explain. There's also a lot of total bullshittery being written by the New Age program that came down to the agencies in this country, deliberate to distract you from what is real and what's not. For those checking out early, are they preferring to give up their body to bypass the 4D drama and attempt to go straight to 5th? No, they're not. You said our capabilities to manifest are easy now, but be careful what you wish for. Example, the Californian rain. I'm thinking manifesting good health and unconditional love for self should be okay, with no fear of getting too much. Yeah, you'll know when to stop. And eventually you can wish the same on others. You know, there's been a lot of talk about certain things, about technology to fix things. What we have forgotten is the best piece of technology on this planet is us. Think about that one. I agree with your suggestion that we should consider make some of the Kabbalah's guardians. Wouldn't this be like asking a fox to protect the chicken coop? Yeah, I understand that. But once the conditions are set, those people will not have the ability to interfere anymore. They will be at humanity's behest, not the other way round. Nutty arsehole travelling around the world, I've already covered that. Where are we next? True to humanity is the kind of government we need. Again, I ask your opinion on the organisation called the Humanity Party. It's not so that we cannot expect different results if we continue to do things the same old way. Exactly. My opinion, I believe the Humanity Party really does have the solution, but no one seems to want to talk about it. Well, it's like everything else, you know. People who do good don't get promoted. It's like this show. Lots of people like this show, but it doesn't get promoted on the Google, does it? I've been told this week that our figures are way, way higher than they are, and they're being interfered with. Of course, people always resonate to certain numbers. So if one particular group is getting 100,000, people will go to that group rather than the ones in the 10,000 range, because that must be better, because it's a higher number. Not really. But that's, again, kind of the programming. Bigger is better, higher is better. No, it's not. And that the same applies for the dimensions. People think that ETs or EDs, extra dimensional, are better. They're not. They might have more advanced tech than we have. It doesn't make them better because it's a high number. Remember Gandhi and his famous quote, "The truth is the truth, even if you're in a minority of one." So just because the rest of the populace can't see the truth or don't want to hear it, doesn't mean it's not the truth. So my time is kind of short, so I can't know or expect to know about every individual group or what they're doing. But maybe some of the members can look at it and see if it's of any use, and maybe we can bring one or two of their people onto the show and we can discuss solutions. So hopefully the members can work on that. Thomas, do you agree with this scenario? Russia becomes a democratic republic and a strong ally with America. Chinese communists are killed off. China becomes a republic and a strong ally with America and Russia. The three superpowers oversee peace throughout the world, and the global collateral accounts are open to spread prosperity throughout the world. Well, that's already ongoing. But the idea that you put in there, that you should just kill off all the communists, when the reality is probably 1% of the people or less really understand what communism means. That's the blind ignorance. You've been told it's bad, so you assume it's bad. It's the same thing as the sleepers telling us, well, the media says that you're a conspiracy theorist and so you're nuts. It's not real, is it? People are being told to follow certain religions or certain forms of government, and the media dictates which one is valid and which one isn't. I remember saying in a show with Drake, if you look at all the isms, communism is actually the best, because if done the right way, it shares most of the stuff out. Now obviously, like that, or like any other program, you can have whatever fancy name you want, the peopleism. But if it's not run in the right manner for the benefit of all, the name doesn't matter. If all those people have been rolled into a program, then it's not the fault of the communists, is it? It's the fault of the people who set those programs up. People in Russia could say, or Britain could say, we don't like a republic government because we don't like some Americans. Is that valid? No. We've had all these labels thrust on us throughout our lifetime. I see people on the page and other pages talking about left and right. What are they talking about? Your hands or your feet? Because I don't understand the concept of left and right in politics. It's bullshit. Oh, they're from the left. Well, please explain to me what left of government means. Could anyone answer that? No. Most people know. We have to be careful with the words and the labels. The labels are what's killing us. So just because China has communists doesn't mean to say we have to kill them all off. They've been lied to as much as we have. That we had a republican government and we had a organic constitution. No, we never. But lots of work has been done between the good people in America, the good people in Russia, and the good people in China to bring about what you're asking for. But please be careful about killing off whole sets of people just because they follow this or they follow that, because most of them have no idea what they're following. When this human resonance is a cabal program, then how does this correlate with increasing our vibration? It doesn't. It's completely separate. The self and the collective, soul growth, all merging timelines, different thing. So they know the technology about merging timelines, messing around with it. Us increasing our own vibration and going up the evolutionary cycle to the higher levels, they can mess around all they like. It won't interfere with your soul growth. And if many reach those levels, they won't be able to interfere ever again. So it's different. Are the two timelines, ours and the Nazi timeline, the Nazi group tries to merge together, exist in different dimensions, as in third and fourth? It's different frequency. You can call it dimension if you want. It's just a change of frequency. And I'm hoping people grasp the Sunday show, because it tells you in that show the differences and the terminology that we've all been pushed into to confuse what is real and what's not. How science has again pushed us outside of what's real and what's not, because they either don't understand or they're told not to. Everything is a frequency. Light, sound, matter, it's all a frequency. It explains it in the Sunday show. Once you get that frequency in tune, then the individual develops fairly rapidly. When you start blocking those frequencies or overlaying it, then we get trapped into loops. So it doesn't matter what dimension you're in, you're trapped in it. What role does CERN play in their plan to merge the different timelines and universes? There was two things that CERN was doing. One was trying to create a portal to get them out, and the other was to collect or harness the fifth element, the God particle, or better known as ether, to use for fuel for their advanced craft that travels 1 light year in 1 calendar year. Yes, they've already got it. I may be producing evidence of such in the near future. We'll see. I know you're sceptical of Benjamin Fulford, yet this might very well be true. Fulford speaks of 1,500 pedophiles being arrested already, and that a grand jury is preparing an indictment against the whole swathe of Washington and New York establishment figures. If this is true, and if so, is the National Liberty Alliance involved in this? Not to my knowledge, but I haven't had an update on what they're doing. There's too much to update at this time. Yeah, BTs, spiritual, politics, banking, the list is endless. So it is possible, and it would be nice for John Darash and Carl Appel and his team and Gerard, if they're involved in it. They put a lot of work into it, into doing what they do, taking a lot of abuse, as you do when you step above the parapet. So it would be nice if they were, but whether it's 1,500 or it could be more or it could be a little less, it's ongoing. So that's fairly correct. Once the banks begin to be nationalised, is the American government and the monetary system on the hard metals gold standard? Does the new monetary system then line up as spelled out in the organic constitution? As I understand it, yes, it will be hard asset based, and it won't be oil like the Bush people want. It will be a collection of resources, not just gold. Will the new monetary system then line up as spelled out in the organic constitution? That is still to be enacted. The new monetary system may come into effect before the organic constitution. Like I said, I can't stress this enough. There's an awful lot of things that have got to be corrected. I know certain people want certain things to be done because that's more of their interest, but you have to take the overview point of view and there's still elements in control in certain organisations that can still create havoc and cause concern. But we're making huge progress. Can you explain why you think Simon Parkes is not okay? I've never felt anything around him. I've given the fact that many of us have reptilian or mantid or whatever lines. I myself think I'm part reptilian. No idea if that's correct, by the way, and I think of myself as being a pretty okay person. Please don't give me if he resonates with you, it's okay for you. Is this reptilian enough for you? I never felt anything around either of you. Simon, you, and a Dutch guy called Martin van Steveren are the only ones I take seriously. Sorry for the lengthy explanation, it just bothers me a lot. Okay. Well, Simon Parkes started off with some rather interesting knowledge that was correct, and then it became, to me, distorted. Halfway through his second interview, I thought, this sounds interesting. We have to have suspicions given his background, which he tells you right up front. He's part mantid, part reptilian. He's also a bastard son of Anu. So it's not a good starting point, is it, for those of us who want the truth? But then you have to give people an opportunity. Despite all that, and despite the fact that his family have operated as spies and worked in the intelligence community, in spite of the fact that Simon Parkes was an MP. Do we trust MPs? So there's quite a number of layers that Simon Parkes has to break down to then show validity of trust to the people. But I give everyone a chance, and I have my own opinion, and people are entitled to their own. I'm not telling anyone to not listen to Simon Parkes. But the final straw for me is when I got a number of reports, direct reports from females who were attending his private meetings, and then reporting that the entity operating the Simon Parkes was night raping them. That, to me, was the final straw. Not physical, as in the physical meeting, in the dream time. When one or two say it, you go, oh, okay. When it gets to 3, 4 and 5, all reporting the same thing, and they're the ones who had the courage to come forward, then it becomes a serious issue. And my listening to Simon Parkes after that ceased. I'm not going to sit back and promote anybody who's night raping somebody else because they've got inside of their soul. People have to be careful when they go with these meetings and the psychics. It's open possession. Again, this is hidden knowledge that they've kept away. But Mr. Parkes knows them too well. Once you get a psychic connection, there's, for those who can see, there are avenues through your PSI field, or sight field, your aura, where certain entities who want to can attack. So if you're wanting me to validate what Simon Parkes is saying, some of his stuff will be correct, but I'm not going to sit back and listen to somebody who's done what he's done. He tried to cover it up. He apologised and said it wasn't him, but clearly it was. Initially he denied it. But 4 or 5 people came forward, all experiencing being raped in their bed with an entity that they can't see. And I, for one, am not going to sit back and celebrate anything to do with Simon Parkes. What is he doing with the mantid people that have been messing here? What is he doing with the reptilian portion of it? Is he going to meet them and telling them to quit it? Is he acting on behalf of humanity? He says he has direct links to mantids and reptilians. So what's he done to fix those set of idiots? That's what I want to hear from Simon Parkes. I've met others and spoken to others who have non-human genes. Those people are all trying to get their people or their connection to stop what they've been doing here. I've yet to hear Simon Parkes say that once. And I'm sorry if that upsets people, but think about those women who were raped in their own bed. That I will not tolerate. I'm just not going to. Sorry. What's your opinion on the Uranta book? I think we've had that question before. I haven't read it, so I can't make a comment on that. Did Justin Bieber really turn into a reptilian in front of fans at Perth Airport? I have no idea. I've not seen it. Quite frankly, who cares? Justin Bieber, as long as he's not chomping on people. It'll be interesting if there's videos. Maybe those who doubt will then perhaps not doubt so more. Where are we next? Why is music so therapeutic? I don't know about the exact frequency. If somebody can help me, I've heard so many 440 and 432 and all kinds of other different hertz, of which is the correct one. But why is music so therapeutic? Well, certain music is, because it's the harmonic waves of the universe. That's why certain music, certain classical music, it's memory, stored memory. Music of the spheres, for those of you who study the spiritual aspect. So that's why it can be both therapeutic, as it also stimulates some of the DNA, it stimulates the aura and stimulates the soul. And why they've been messing with it and putting harmful frequencies to counteract it. How did the recent Arctic fracas play out on the spiritual side? Very well. Where are we next? Douglas Dietrich, I'm not familiar with his work that I recall. Like I said, I don't have time to read too much these days, although I've been given vast volumes to study and document and get ready for certain shows. So I was never a one for reading books at school. I just can't read books for some reason or other. I'll read on the internet, but I've got this aversion to books. Right. Is there a metaphysical component protecting big cabal leaders that prevents humans from being able to properly capture, imprison or end them? Where does their demonic or ET entity go when their physical body is ended? It depends on which individual and what is their genetic makeup. Some of them can, or abilities, some of them are immersed in the dark magic, where capture becomes rather elusive or difficult, or more difficult than the average person. All of them are monitored, all of them are documented, all of them we know where they are. Sometimes surveillance works two ways, a bit like the compartmentalisation on the control system has gone the wrong way, worked against them. So the prevention now is largely down to sufficient people getting their heads together and coming to a proper conclusion and deciding enough is enough, and to remove them. As more and more alliances are made with different groups in different countries, that becomes more of a probability. Where does the demonic or ET entity go when their physical body is ended? Wherever the level of evolution takes them. Depends what level of evolution they've acquired during this lifetime. Of course, if they've killed somebody, it'll be a step lower than what they started off with. This is probably, sorry to, I've answered a couple of his questions. Patrick Pepper, there was about 6 or 7. We're going to run out of time, but I'll put them over to the next show. Second hour went on longer than I thought it would be, so apologies for that. So last night and this morning had a vibrating sensation coming from my lower abdomen. It's not painful, it's just like electrical twitching. What is that? And I'm also having a lot of psychic dreams where I dream something and it happens the next day. Are these things related? It can be. The twitching, I think you will find, now that I will mention it, or you have mentioned it first, a lot of people have experienced this electrical twitching. It's the change in the frequencies. For the last 3 weeks I feel I'm being crawled all over. There's nothing there, it's just a change. So it's nothing to be concerned of. The fact that you mentioned the lower abdomen may suggest there was a block at the solar plexus, which is now opening. Then you're going more towards the heart centre. Think not or act not from the gut. That is the trap. Think and act from the heart, and not the mind either. So that's 3 hours. I think that's just about enough. I know you'd all like, some of you like me to go on until the witching hour, as they call it, but I have a life as well, although sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But I hope you've all enjoyed the show. A bit different this week. I hope you enjoyed the piece that Rodney did. I thought that was that pleases me more than anything. That, you know, that other people get it. Once we all get it, then you'll all be able to write the same way as Rodney did, from a higher vantage point, an overview, and not as immersed in the bullshittery that we all have to endure. Right, if you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free for you to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. You are not here to be abused. You're also not here to compete with your friends, family or neighbours. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so inspire others. This has been another episode of the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. I hope you enjoyed it all. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.